Hello, viewers. My name is Blessing, and you are welcome to Food Safety and Food Security TV. Today, we have a distinguished pastor, accountant, thinker, social reformer, writer, and entrepreneur.
So on and so forth. All I know is that my great great grandfather had no problem with food. He lived in his house, he had his farm, he planted his maize, harvested it, planted his yam, his cocoyam, harvested it, fed his entire family, and he kept on going on and on. Because behind every man's backyard, behind every man's house is a backyard that his food will come from.
Like a garden.
It's like a woman who gives birth to a baby. The breasts are already there to feed the baby, even before the baby was born. So that's the same way the good Lord has provided for every community within that community the food that that community should eat. And if the community grew its own food and ate its own food, there will be no problem. What should be happening now is how to engage the community to grow and eat its own food in a much more efficient manner. And that's what people should be talking about. I'm not saying that some places are drought, some people are Sahel, some people are this and that, and therefore there's no. It's capitalism and corruption and people, oligarchs, and people dominating others that has led to this issue that we call food insecurity.
Okay, thank you. So what I hear you say is people should basically um, farm their environment. Like we go back to the days, part of one of the solution to food insecurity is that we'll go back to the day where we used to have farms, gardens, like vegetables around their homes. And yes, I do see on social media people planting in bags, like yam and stuff like that. Okay, so from you, you've talked about the problems, the reasons why we have food insecurity. So can you just, from what you said, just summarize what are the solutions based on what you've talked about being the reason for this insecurity? Just kindly, one after the other, what the solutions should be.
Yeah, first of all, I took us back to the beginning and to the basic fundamentals where everyone was able to somehow cater for themselves. Well, with development and with specialization, the lawyer is not the farmer is not the barber is not the pilot is this and that. What we need to do now that society has developed to the area of skills and specialization is for each government to know that a lot more emphasis has to be placed in sourcing and gathering food for its population. Those who have farmland must make sure they make efficient use of their farmland.
Okay.
Those who don't have farmland must look for other techniques and technologies, bio-development of food that will feed them.
Okay.
And those who are unable to do that must now negotiate whatever skill or value they have for the other person's food that that person may have. So one of the things that coming back home, Lagos State was now trying to do because they don't have farmland is to negotiate with other states like Niger State, Ogun State that have farmland and say, let us buy your farmland to do our own farming, or let us go into a joint venture with you on your farmland to do our own farming.
Yeah.
Now, this thing can be replicated in nations.
Okay.
Okay, so a landlocked nation, an arid nation has no farmland as such, but there must be something or the other that it has.
Absolutely.
Maybe it's energy with sunlight, maybe it's a fishery, maybe it is minerals and so on and so forth, which is what led to modern society. So I have no farmland in Tunisia or wherever, for example. Come to Nigeria and negotiate. You have a lot of farmland.
Okay.
Let me give you my cobalt. Let me give you my uranium. Let me give you my this, or change my uranium to dollars, and let me come to Nigeria and negotiate with Nigeria, or
Sounds like
negotiate with some kind of
trade by
trade by
barter.
barter, some kind of organization. It's just thinking ahead and planning. You know, there's no nation, there's no group of people that don't have a resource. That is how the world is. Everywhere you go, if people open their eyes, there's a resource that people can use. So why don't I take my resource and use it to negotiate for the resource that I don't have using money? But what has happened is that a lot of places are just not productive. They're not productive because people who should make them productive are either too selfish, too greedy, too corrupt, too naive, too too visionless to make that place productive.
Mm.
You know, so if you can increase production in every sphere of life, you will ensure that there is food security for the people that need food security. So it's a question of having more production all over the world to make sure that everywhere where there's a scarcity, the productive capacity of some area will block that scarcity. But
Okay.
some people are making money from
I
the
was going to
scarcity.
go. Yeah, I was going
Yeah.
to go
So
there.
because they are making money
Mm.
from the scarcity of this, that, and the other, they deliberately, they deliberately, they deliberately keep manipulating things so that they can keep making money. So we need to break their back. So for example, this oil we're talking about, OPEC comes up and forms a union and begins to manipulate oil prices, oil production, and so on, so on, because they want to keep making money. But there's
Beneficiaries.
more than enough oil in the soil
Mm.
all over the place. In Nigeria, we're flaring gas, okay, when we need gas for energy, for production, for cooking, and things like that. For some people, it's more beneficial to them to flare that gas because somehow or the other it's easier, it's cheaper, they make more money from the oil. So we need to begin, you know, and it comes back to loving your neighbor as yourself. We
Mm.
need to go back to the fundamental principles of getting people to actually wake up, smell the coffee, love one another, and try to help one another.
Okay, like I'd like to, because like when you were talking about the ALG, you talked about having a youth group, and Nigeria, like we started, we're starting from home at Jerusalem. We have a lot of youth. So how, excuse me, how do you get the youth to go to the farm?
How do you
Because
get
everybody wants a white collar job,
yeah,
right? So, and then we know that we need, because even with technology, technology also needs people to apply that technology. Technology will not apply itself. So I don't think, please correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think that a lot of youth are interested in farming, because if we're going to have food security, if we're going to be able to combat this issue of food insecurity, and you've talked about people going back to the farm, but how do we, um, in your opinion, how do you think we can get the youth involved? Youth of Africa, youth of Nigeria, or what if you were the president of Nigeria? What would you do to get the youth involved in solving this issue of food insecurity? I like us, okay, we can talk about Nigeria and Africa, but we're actually a global, or we actually have a global audience, so the world can learn from whatever ideas you have in
let,
this regard.
let me ask you a funny question.
Okay,
You have a Gucci bag.
I don't have a Gucci bag, but
What
I don't have a Gucci
what's
bag.
your favorite designer?
I just wear what I like. If it's nice, I wear it. If it's a designer, fine. If it's not a designer, I'm cool. I'm not designer crazy.
What makes you buy the things you buy?
If I like them and they sit well on me and I feel good in them, if I have to like them, and if I need them, if it's needed.
A lot of people would buy something for one reason or the other. And the reason why they buy those things is because in their mind they have been told that those things are good and they have value. So the reason why you're looking so pretty, the hair and everything,
Thank you.
is that in your mind you feel that this look is a good look.
But you just said it is.
No, I'm not saying it is not, and
Okay.
I'm saying it is,
Yeah.
but your mind has been tuned in that way. The reason why people are not going to the farm, the young people are not going to the farm,
Okay.
because their mind, unfortunately, with colonialism
Has been
and
tuned.
education has been tuned
How do we untune it?
the same way